Hello, everybody, and welcome into the voice of college football. Settle in and settle down here. We have another episode of Texas Tuesdays. This is number 3. Again, recruiting game breakdowns for all you guys here. Can you please hit that like button? Please subscribe down below. It really helps out the channel. We're trying to grow this Texas brand. It's a big brand, obviously, as you guys know. We don't have enough subscribers here on Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, as you see scrolling down below. So please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Go over to all the other channels, like and subscribe over there. Go over to Mark Rogers TV. If you haven't, if you're new here, subscribe to that channel. It really helps out. Thank you guys very much. Again, this is Texas Tuesday Lives. We will be here the rest of the time on Tuesday at 7:30 Eastern time. Sometimes I come in a little bit late just to get you guys in here, chatting it up first before I come in. We usually go for about an hour, maybe an hour 15 sometimes. I will also be here breaking down games in season as well on Tuesdays at the same time. So please come in. Please check that out. I will be here post-game as well on this channel. So a lot of content here, guys. Can you please hit that like button? Please subscribe down below. It really helps out grow this wonderful channel Mark has. Thank you guys very much. We'll get to these comments real quick before I get into the gigantic news that has happened over the last 2 weeks. Last week, we didn't have a show because of the 4th of July. I was on vacation. A lot of you guys were probably on vacation. So happy 4th of July. Late to you guys, but hey, better late than never. Let me say that real quick. We missed a lot of recruiting news. We're going to get to these comments real quick, just a couple that we have, and then I will break down what Texas has added recruiting-wise. John Delane, I kid the Texas fans, but only because I have no respect for their football team. Wow. Harsh. Let's see. That's all we really have right now. So let's jump into it, guys. While I was gone on vacation, and while you guys were too, probably didn't realize Texas was out there killing the recruiting trail like they have done over the past month. Jordan Johnson-Rubel, 4-star safety from IMG Academy. If anyone knows about that place in Bradenton, Florida, it's a freaking factory out there, and I'm sure this guy will come in, do a good job. Obviously, I do not jump into these recruits at this time. Going into next year, I'll jump into them more. But so far, we've been doing a pretty good job the last couple of weeks, especially last month, killing it on the recruiting trail. I think we've had like 9 to 10 commits over the past 4 weeks. We have 6 in the past 2 weeks alone while I was gone, which that's crazy. Next up, we have Aaron Hampton, 4-star wide receiver, Dangerfield, Texas. That's another key to this, guys. A lot of these guys, I believe all of them, other than the guy just mentioning Jordan Johnson-Rubel at safety, are all guys from Texas. That was a concern for Texas fans, guys. We were getting all these guys from other states, but we weren't getting guys in-state. And we're starting to see that with Aaron Hampton, 4-star wide receiver commit. One of the rare guys that decommits and then comes back to the place he decommitted from. That is rare. That does not happen. So props to him. He chose us over Alabama at the end of the day. Very surprising when someone decommits and then recommits. So Steve Sarkisian, good job keeping up with this young kid and keeping him engaged on the University of Texas, and ultimately he comes back to the University of Texas. Texas kid staying in Texas, wonderful job by Steve Sarkisian. And adding to that great wide receiver room and other wide receiver commits, we're going to have one more wide receiver commit to talk about a little bit later as well. Next up, we have, actually, we'll just talk about him right now, Parker Livingston at 3-star wide receiver. He is from Loveland High School, or Lovejoy High School. Sorry, my bad on that. From Lucas, Texas, another Texas kid staying home. Good job by Steve Sarkisian and the staff keeping another Texas kid home. So that's another props. Obviously, we need to recruit the state of Texas. We need to set up a border around the state of Texas and keep the guys home. We do that with Parker Livingston. Next up, out of the position group, I think we're doing the best at, and Kyle Flood has done a great job with his position group recruiting the past couple of years, and he's doing a good job this year. Daniel Cruz from Richland High School in Richland Hills, Texas, 3-star interior offensive lineman. We've been doing very good on the interior part of the offensive line during this cycle, something that needs to be hit. What can I say? Kyle Flood has done a phenomenal job the last couple of cycles, including this one. You see someone like the number one offensive lineman in the country, Devon Campbell, coming in, Cam Williams, Neto Umazulu. Gosh, can't say his name for to save my life, guys, but he's done a phenomenal job. Next up, Alex January, 3-star defensive lineman, Duncanville High School, Duncanville, Texas. This is a factory again of high school football, and this guy comes in to Texas. He's a big kid, guys. He's going to be, I think, out of all the guys that I've talked about, this is the guy I'm most excited about on the defensive line. So it's going to be interesting to see how he plays into this defensive line rotation. Obviously, there's more depth for a Daniel Cruz to compete with here on the offensive line position than there is, in my opinion, Alex January. There's no one that's really stepped up, guys. We've had guys like Kelvin Banks, Cole Hudson step up. Probably more guys coming along this year that we'll see step up on the offensive line. Haven't really seen that on the defensive line. So I think there's room right away for Alex January to play if he puts on a little bit more weight. Next up, Jordan Washington, and he was a 4-star recruit, or 3-star recruit. Sorry, I forgot the star in there. He was pursued by a lot of high-quality teams, even though he's a 3-star recruit. I think this guy, he just looks super athletic. Again, haven't really watched much tape of his. And from Long Creek High School. So, again, another Texas kid stays. We get a tight end, which in the Steve Sarkisian offense, he loves to use to stretch the field. Why he goes underneath with some of the wide receivers. You saw that with a couple of the tight ends in the past that he's had. So I think he's going to do a great job with Jordan Washington when he does get him on campus, because you've seen what he's done with Jatavian Sanders on campus. So far, that is all the recruits that we have to talk about over the last 2 weeks. I'm sure there will be more to talk about next week. Hopefully there will be. Also, guys, I will probably be going live for Media Day. I'm not going to confirm that yet. But I will most likely go live after Texas concludes its media day this week. I believe that's on Thursday or Friday. So stay tuned for that. Like I said, if you subscribe to the channel, you should get that notification. Hit the notification bell. You'll see it, and we'll go live for that as well. I'll jump back into the comments here. Could Texas stay within 20 of this year? No doubt we would stay within 20. There's no doubt in my mind we'd stay within 20. I've already made this, Ed. I don't know if you were here for it. I think Ohio State's the third best team in the Big Ten this year. I know it's a hot take. I think Michigan and Penn State are both better. And I think Ohio State's going to take a step back because you see what happens when you don't have a great quarterback. I don't think they're going to have a great quarterback this year. That's just my opinion. Well, you were summarizing like 3 to 4 ADs and presidents along with coaches. I don't know. You guys must be arguing here. These recruits know that Sark is going to be their coach, right? 100% Sark is going to be their coach. And John, are you a Texas A&M fan? Because do you know who your coach is going to be? Because I can almost guarantee you Jimbo Fisher will not be there in the next 2 years. I would guarantee that, actually. I will guarantee it. 3-star, yes. Jordan Washington was a 3-star. This is all according to 247. So if you have beef with where I got these rankings, go take it up with them. They have Jordan Washington as a 3-star recruit. And if you guys are new here, we're probably going to, we will go into breaking down Wyoming versus Texas and Baylor versus Texas in just a minute. We talked about last week how we talked about 2 weeks ago, the Texas and Alabama game, and also the Texas and Rice game. I had Texas beating Rice, obviously, 52-20, and I had Alabama beating Texas 28-24. At the end of this whole all these live shows that I'm doing leading up to the season, I will do a full schedule breakdown for my last episode, and I will lock in my results of what I think will happen. That's just preliminary in my mind, that I believe Alabama will beat Texas 28-24. That could change. I'm starting to lean that will change, because if you look at the rosters, guys, and you take away Nick Saban and you take away the uniforms, Texas has a better roster now than them, in my opinion. I fully believe that. Especially at the quarterback position, wide receiver position, cornerback position. I really think at key positions we have a better roster than them. So we'll have to see. Could be wrong about that. Might be wrong about that. We'll have to see. Obviously, playing in Tuscaloosa has a lot to do with that. But it's going to be a good game no matter what. Like I said, my first instinct was Alabama 28, Texas 24. John Delane, I'm an LSU fan. Justin Jefferson is still running. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that was a infuriating play. That wasn't the most infuriating play of that game. There were multiple. That one obviously ended the game, but that's not the one that really decided the game. I think the game was decided very early on when Keontae Ingram dropped that touchdown. Sark is a great coach for a beer pong league. Okay, funny. I could probably tell you Wyoming sucks. You would be correct on that. Looking at their roster, they are a lot worse than I thought. They're going to struggle this year mightily. I will get into that and break it down. I probably won't spend too much time on that. I'll probably spend about 5 minutes on them, 7 to 10 minutes on Baylor. Baylor's not that much better off, guys. Let me tell you that. Baylor doesn't return much. You're basically banking on the 15. They brought in 15 transfers, and that's what you're banking on. If you believe those guys will step up and play well, I think Baylor could be pretty good. But if half those guys miss, Baylor's going to be in for a very, very, very rough season. And if they have another rough season after going 6-7 last year, David Randall will be going into next season on the hot seat. And that's not a place you want to be. It's hilarious. That guy, there was a chance he could have got a really big job after winning the Big 12 with Baylor. And if he doesn't have, I think if he doesn't turn around and go 8-4 this year, I think you're looking at probably him getting fired next year if he doesn't make a bowl game the year after that. Too bad your coach is awful and Bama is the best coach of all time. Calling Steve Sarkisian awful, I disagree with. I'm not going to disagree with Nick Saban being the best coach of all time. I'm not going to do that. He's for sure top 3 if you want to debate, but he's for most people he's number 1, and I think he's number 1, especially in the modern era of college football. Man, we have a lot of LSU fans in here. I don't mind LSU. I actually don't have any beef with LSU, never have. That may change going into the SEC. I have a friend that goes to the University of LSU. He goes to their medical school, so I have no issue with LSU. Ohio State was 1 play away from a national championship. Only 2 teams were. Okay, that was last year. That has legitimately nothing to do with this year. In fact, I would argue that C.J. Stroud isn't there. So what are we talking about? You have Marvin Harrison Jr. and Ibuka is obviously very good, and your wide receiving room is very good. But you have questions at your running back position. Is TreVeyon Henderson going to be good? TreVeyon Henderson freshman year or sophomore year? Who's your quarterback? Like that. I'm sorry. Michigan is winning the Big Ten. Period. End of story. If you want to say you're second, go ahead and say that. You're not beating Michigan. You're not going to win the Big Ten. You're going to come in second at best. Randall have another job before he cleans out his 100%. He's a great defensive coordinator, fantastic defensive coordinator. But you win the Big 12, you go 6-7. Again, I'm going to break this down here in a minute. It's looking bad for them this year. Their roster's not very good. On a serious note, Texas has an overwhelming talent advantage on every team in the Big 12 if they don't win the conference. 100%. 100%. 100%. It is a failure if they don't win the Big 12. I believe Bill Connolly does a lot of analytics for ESPN, very well respected. Put out a tweet about 2.5 weeks ago. He basically said, if Texas doesn't win, ... Like, there's so much of an advantage we have over everyone in this conference. It's insane. We have either the best or second best quarterback. We have the best wide receiver room. We have the best cornerback room. We have the best offensive line room. We have the best defensive line room. You can argue running back and linebacker rooms with different teams, but this team is so much more talented than every team in the Big 12. If coached properly and if motivated, everyone on the team is motivated, we should beat every Big 12 team by double digits, period. That's how it should be. Now, I do believe that's going to happen in most games. I do believe they're going to lose a Big 12 team game this year. I do believe Texas is probably going to go 10-2. That's my prediction. And if we go 10-2 and win the Big 12 championship, that is a good season for me. That is a building season off of last year for me. That is a good enough accomplishment for me. I have no issue with that. But they have to go 10-2, guys. If they don't go 10-2 and win the Big 12 with this roster, I fully believe Steve Sarkisian will not be the coach. He will be the coach until Arch Manning leaves, but he won't do anything. There will be nothing grand that he does in the SEC. We won't win a national championship. We won't compete for an SEC title. Nothing like that will happen. I believe if we win a Big 12 championship, keep recruiting at the level we're recruiting at, there's a possibility to compete in the SEC and possibly be a top 4 to 5 SEC team in our first year in the conference. We'll see, though. It's a lot of ifs. I'll miss Hero. This guy is just an Ohio State hater. He trashes the Buckeyes every show. I don't like Ohio State. I will admit that. But Ohio State is one of the, in my opinion, in my lifetime, they are the second best college football program in my lifetime, period. It's them in Alabama. I admit facts. I just think Ohio State's going to finish third in the Big Ten this year. That's just my opinion. I could be 100% wrong on that, 100% wrong on that. But it is hard for me to believe they're going to beat Michigan. It just is. Michigan has beaten the last 2 years pretty convincingly, both years. It's in Ann Arbor again. You're breaking in a new quarterback. I just don't see it. Until Ryan Day beats Michigan with his players, I don't see it. That's fair. Saying no chance. Okay, if I had to break down the percentage, I think Michigan wins the Big 12 or Big 10, sorry, 75% this year. I think that's the percentage they win the Big 10. I think Penn State has about a 10% chance. Now I'll push them up to 15, and then I think Ohio State has a 10. Like I said, I think they finish third. I think Penn State finishes second. Those two are debatable to me. Penn State and Ohio State are debatable. That may be my bias coming in, but as a Buckeye fan, you have to admit, you would be kind of surprised if Ohio State beat Michigan this year. I think you would. Maybe I'd be wrong, but I think you would. LSU has more than 100% they do, but it's not just about national championships. It's about being consistent year in and year out. LSU goes from winning. They're kind of like the Boston Red Sox. Yes, they win national championships, but when they don't, they're usually not very good. They're like an 8-4 team. So Ohio State's a better program. Sorry. In my lifetime, Ohio State is a better program. LSU's top 5. They're not the better program, though. They might even be the third, honestly. Therapy. LSU is the second best program by their peaks. 100%. That's what I mean. I want consistency. I do care about national championships, obviously, but I want consistency. And Alabama has both. They're consistent. They win national championships. Ohio State consistent, has won 2 national championships in my lifetime. LSU has won 3 national championships in my lifetime. And they're a little less consistent. So I'm going Ohio State. Thank you. You guys are making very good points, and that's 100% true, John. They don't have many good offensive linemen or any unknown offensive linemen returning, and they don't have a known quarterback. You have very good wide receivers, and on top of that, your running back room isn't that great. So you're literally relying on your wide receiver room. If whoever your starting quarterback is a B guy, like a B average guy through the whole season, I think Ohio State comes in second in the Big Ten. If he's anything worse than that, they're third, period. If he's an A guy, that game in Ann Arbor is going to be amazing. That's what I'll say. You always have new players in college football. 100% you always have new players, but it's about the position of those new players. I think offensive line, it's important to have as much returning talent as you possibly can or depth there as you possibly can. I think quarterback's the same way. I think running back, if you have one special guy there and a couple of average guys, you can get away with it. Same with wide receiver. I think Ohio State showed you can have the best wide receiver room and not win a national championship. They've had that the past 4 to 5 years, and they have not won a national championship. I would rather have a great quarterback than 2 great wide receivers. I would make that trade. I would trade Emeka Egbuka and Marvin Harrison Jr. for Caleb Williams. Ohio State fans, would you do that? I would do that. I don't know their exact blue chip ratio. I believe looking at roster breakdown, I can bring that to the next show. It's definitely a top 5 roster in college football. Again, that doesn't really matter because people say, well, Texas always had that. And that's kind of true. If you looked at wide receivers, running backs, quarterbacks, safeties even, we do pretty well there. The issues we have are in the trenches, and that's the difference. If you go look at our offensive and defensive line, our offensive line is ranked by multiple people as a top 5 offensive line, all the way up to, I believe Pro Football Focus said, is the second best returning offensive line in college football. That hasn't happened at Texas since we've been playing for national championships. What is that? That's 11 years ago, or no, 2009. Sorry, that's 14 years ago. So it's been a long time. Do you think Bama? Good question, Jay. Do you think Bama or LSU wins the SEC West? It all comes down to the quarter. I know what I'm getting from Jane Daniels. And I think Brian Kelly is a top 10 coach in college football. I think Mark got criticized for that. He is a top 10 coach in college football. That's who I wanted Texas to go after before we got Steve Sarkisian. We didn't for whatever reason. I didn't know if he didn't want to come to Texas. I feel like Texas and LSU are similar teams when it comes to desirability from coaches. So I think he would have if we reached out. If Jaden Daniels is in the top 10 for Heisman voting this year, LSU will beat out. LSU will win the SEC West. That's my prediction. He has to be in the top 10 for Heisman voting. He has to be a top 10 player in college football, period. If he's that, they will win the SEC West. If he's not, Alabama's winning the SEC West. Penn State has a first-year quarterback in Travis Columbus where they never win, true. And Ohio State has a first-year quarterback as well. I think Penn State's defense is going to be better than Ohio State's. I think the running game is better in Ohio State's, and running game and defense travel. And that's my prediction. Obviously, we're at the very beginning of the season. If we go in and Ohio State's quarterback situation is solved and whoever's the starter is looking good, that can change. But right now, that's my prediction. I think Penn State beats them. I think Texas was at 6. That sounds about right, Shadow Bearded, for blue chip ratio. That sounds about right. I live in Ohio. That's all I watch is the Big Ten, unfortunately. I absolutely hate the Big Ten. It's boring as hell to watch. The Big Ten West was one of the worst races for a division in college football history last year. It was boring. None of those teams are good. Your offenses are stuck in the 1990s for the most part, other than Ohio State, Maryland, Purdue with Braum he's gone now, so I'm not sure. Michigan isn't now either. So that's like 3 to 4 offenses in the Big Ten that are worth a shit, in my opinion. The rest of them are not that good. So I've had this theory for a long time. People are going to hate on it. Big Ten defenses look better because Big Ten offenses aren't as good as people think. And the same that it's kind of like with the Big 12. Big 12 defenses aren't as bad as people think because the offenses are so good. Now, our Big 12 defenses, were they the worst a couple years ago? 100%. Were they as bad as people think? No. Were our Big Ten defenses good? Yes. Are they as good as people think? No, because their offenses aren't good. You judge Big Ten defenses by how they play versus Ohio State, Maryland, and Michigan. Penn State some years, but that's it. It's going to be interesting now with Fickle at Wisconsin, who he's hired, if how they come along offensively. That could change. That could be another one. But all these other teams are a lot of running and a lot of play action. And it's mostly I formation when they run. So I just don't really have much respect for that style of football anymore. Brian Keller is similar to Mark Richt. I think he's better than Mark Richt, but there are definitely some similarities. Well, okay, so we are going to get into the breakdown of Wyoming, guys. This will not take a long time. I will get past this, then I'll get to Baylor, and then I'll come back to your comments. Anyways, Wyoming, September 23rd, Austin, Texas. That's where we're playing this game. Wyoming last year was 7-6 in the Mountain West Conference. They were averaging, this is terrible, by the way, 21.2 points per game, 110th in the country out of 131 teams. 110th. Not good at all offensively. And I'll explain why in a minute, because the quarterback play there was absolutely putrid. Defense, 23.9 points per game. They were decent on defense, 48th in the country, so slightly above average there. Now, this is where we get to the issues on offense. Quarterback, Andrew Peasley, 52.4% completion percentage. He had 10 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. That's abysmal quarterback play. Abysmal. Like, what are you, 5 years removed from Josh Allen and you go to this bum? This guy's terrible. Next, Jaden Clemens also played. This is even worse. 41.4% completion percentage, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Abysmal quarterback play here from Wyoming. 11 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, below 50% completion percentage between these two. Not good. The bright spot on this team, unfortunately, he is gone now, and Andrew Peasley is back. He will be the quarterback this year. Peasley will be the quarterback this year. But the bright spot, Titus Swen at running back, he's gone. But last year, 1,039 yards, 5 yards per carry, 8 touchdowns. Pretty good numbers from what seems to be a team that couldn't throw the ball. So most teams are stacking the box most likely with this guy, and this guy went off. Unfortunately, he is gone. Wide receivers, Josh Cobbs and Trayton Welch. Cobbs had 35 catches with 17.6 yards per catch and 2 touchdowns. Trayton Welch, 22 catches, 308 yards, 19 yards per catch and 5 touchdowns. Cobbs is gone. Welch is back. So those are your 2 best wide receivers. On defense, which was your strong suit, 48th in the country on defense, like I said, in points per game, which is big to me. I don't really care about yards. You can move it up and down the field, but if you're not giving up that many points, it doesn't matter. Easton Gibbs, 121 total tackles, 9 for loss, 3 sacks. He will be back, so that's big for them on defense. Devon Harris, 8 sacks, 13 tackles for loss. That's a big number, especially for a defense that is average but not great. That's a big number for that. He is back as well. Braden Sider, 7 sacks, 13.5 for loss. Again, another big number. He is back. So you return all 3 of your best defensive players. So I think your defense will be pretty good. The offense, on the other hand, will not. They come back with a new running back who was on the team last year, Dwan McNeely, but he wasn't good. He wasn't enough for me to write down on the running back list with Titus Swen because he didn't have enough yards. I believe he was under 300 yards. I'm sorry, that's not a big enough impact. You do have some new wide receivers, though. Transfers, Devin Bodden Jr. He is from Vanderbilt, and then Ayer Asante. So it basically comes down to whether you believe the quarterback has made a vast improvement. That's the only way this game's even close. I honestly think we're probably going to be closer with Rice than we are with Wyoming after look at these stats. It would not shock me if Andrew Peasley throws 3 to 4 interceptions in this game versus Texas. I mean, those are abysmal numbers, and you lose your best one of your best wide receivers, or both of them actually are gone, sorry, and you lose your best running back, and you're bringing in transfers to help supplement that with the guy that wasn't good last year. So how will the chemistry be? I think we beat Wyoming pretty easily. I think we beat Wyoming 49-10. I think it's an absolute blowout. I don't think it's going to be very good at all for them. So there we go. We beat Wyoming 49-10, even more of a blowout than we beat Rice. Next up, we have the Baylor Bears. Before I get to that, can you please hit that like button? Please subscribe down below. It really helps out the channel, guys. Thank you very much. I'm going to go into some more comments actually real quick. Ed, wow, 63-6. This is a good question as well by Will. Will Arch get playing time in the Wyoming game? Possibly. I think you're going to see more Malik Murphy in that. If Arch comes in, I don't think he throws a pass. The only way, in my opinion, Arch throws a pass this year is if Quinn Ewers gets hurt the whole year, and then Malik comes in, he's the starter, and then you get Arch in for blowouts like this. And I don't think we're going to have many, honestly. I think we'll blow out Rice. I think we'll blow out Wyoming. I think there might be a team in we might blow out 1 or 2 teams in the Big 12. There's a chance we blow out Houston, but I don't think he throws a pass. I think he'll get playing time. I don't think he throws a pass this year. And this Wyoming team is hot garbage. I don't know how they won 7 games last year, honestly, even playing in the Mountain West. Having your quarterback only complete 52% of his passes is not good. And not returning your best player on offense and then your 2 best wide receivers is not good either. So they're going to rely on their defense. I expect them to probably go 5-7 this year. So even take a further step back. But let's get into a game, in my opinion, that matters and will probably be a little bit closer, but it could be a blowout, guys, and that'd be Baylor. Always got to represent right there, Texas. So Blake Shapen does come back, 63.6 or 3% completion percentage for the Bears last year, in an offense that had 32.2 points per game, which was 39th in the country. And their defense was not great, 26.8 points per game. That was 64th in the country out of 131 teams. This was a big one for me, guys. They went 6-7 last year, and they only returned 8 players. It's the second least returning players in the Big 12, tied with Cincinnati. So that is big for me. From a team that was 6-7 and not very good, you're not returning very many players from that to build off of. In fact, they have 15 transfers. So like a fifth of your roster is transfers. That's not good either, in my opinion, especially the type of transfers they got. 3 running backs last year on top of Shapen at quarterback are Richard Reese, Craig Williams, and Quaylon Jones. Reese ran for 972 yards, 6.8 yards per carry, and 14 touchdowns. Craig Williams, 557 yards, 7.6 yards per carry, 4 touchdowns. Quaylon Jones, 462 yards, 5.4 yards per carry, 7 touchdowns. So all pretty good yards per carry. None of them were bell cows. They all split time. Richard Reese does return, and so does Quaylon Jones. So that's big. Craig Williams is not there anymore. Up next at wide receiver, we have Gavin Holmes and Monterey Baldwin. Holmes went for 521 yards, 19.3 yards per catch, and 4 touchdowns. So a big play threat. And then Monterey Baldwin also a pretty big play threat with 565 yards, 17.1 yards per catch, and 4 touchdowns. He is back. Gavin Holmes on the other end. is gone. So what about that defense that we talked about stat-wise? Dylan Doyle led the team with 89 total tackles. Right up behind him was A.J. Walcott. Dylan Doyle is gone, and his 89 tackles are gone. And then on the defensive side of the ball as well, Garmin Randolph, 7 sacks, 4.5 for loss. That was their third best player on defense. He led their team in sacks. And the guys that they're going to bring in to replace some of the guys that I mentioned, Dominic Richardson transfers from Oklahoma State at the running back position, 1,139 yards in his 3 years there, 4.2 yards per carry, and then 15 total touchdowns on top of 220 receiving yards. I mean, he's a depth guy. I think Reese will end up being the bell cow again, Richard Reese. And I don't think Dominic Richardson will make much of a difference on this team other than depth. So that'll be interesting. Next up, 2-year wide receiver from Arkansas, Ketron Jackson Jr. He had, he had 21 catches for 374 yards, 17.8 yards per catch, and 4 touchdowns. So again, another depth piece. There's not really much there with him as well. And then this is the big one. I actually think this guy will make an impact. I think you have a chance to see this guy on an all Big 12 team at the end of the year. Mike Smith Jr. from Liberty, middle linebacker, 85 tackles at Liberty, 10 for loss and half a sack in his first year and only year playing college football. I think he's got a good chance to break over 100 tackles and be the best defensive player on Baylor this year. So I think you could see him on a Big 12 team at the end of the year. Like I said, 15 total transfer players off a team that only returns 8 players as well. So, and off a team that went 6-7. Guys, going into the season, I thought this could have been a loss because this game is at Waco. I don't think this is a close game. I don't think Baylor's going to be able to compete versus us. I think this is going to be a 38-21 win for Texas. I think it's 38-14 going in the fourth quarter. Baylor, we have our backups in. Baylor puts in a garbage time touchdown. This Baylor team, I don't think is very good. And that's why I talked about earlier in the show, Dave Aranda has a possibility of being fired. And that's who I believe wins that game. So we're looking at Texas in my prediction so far. Beats Rice, lose to Alabama, beats Wyoming, beats Baylor. So we're looking at 3-1, and we're off and running. We will have 2 more games next week, guys, to talk about. And again, my last show before the season starts, I will put up the Big 12 schedule again, or the Texas schedule again, run through it and see if my predictions are still the same. Honestly, looking at them, the only difference right now I would make maybe is the Alabama game. I don't see a difference anywhere else. It's hard for me to believe we lose to Baylor. It really is. This team is not good. Let's see if you guys agree or disagree with that. Let's see. At least it's not burnt orange, such a hideous color. Texas 38-21. I think I just said that, 38-21. So, yeah, that's what I believe. I don't think this is a very close game. Is Dave Aranda a good coach or a flash-in-the-pan coach? That is a great question. I'm going to give him a break even on this year because this offense this roster is not very good. We'll see about next year. That's the thing. But the thing is, if this year's so bad, guys, where he's going 5-7 or 6-6 again, there's a really good chance that his next year could be his last, and you're not going to get recruits that way. You're just not. So it's going to be interesting. I think he kind of needs a 7-5, 8-4 year to get him 2 more years. So it's going to be interesting. They're one of those teams, I just don't see it. I just don't. There's going to be teams I go through as we go down this list and through this schedule where I could see a loss for Texas. Like there's a 15-20% chance loss, maybe in 30% chance loss. I don't think there's really any coin flip games in the Big 12 in my opinion. But if we lost to Baylor, you're going to see me very angry on the postgame show. So if you want to see that after a loss, come back here, subscribe so you'll know, and you're going to see me livid because we should not lose this team. This team is not good. Aranda might not be a good head coach, but he's an amazing defense coordinator. 100%, he is an amazing defense coordinator. So you were right about that, John. He will 100% have a job as soon as he's fired, if he's fired at Baylor, but he's not very good. I mean, he's been inconsistent so far as head coach. I'm not going to say he's been not very good. You have to consider that Aranda's in Waco. You try to convince 7-year-olds to spend the next 3 to 5 years in Waco. What they have options, good luck with that. 100%. I think that's why he has to live with 3 stars in the transfer portal. And honestly, in the Big 12, I think you get away with that. I think you win 8 games a year, but it's going to be hard. More livid than Texas Tech last year. Wow. Yes, because Baylor this year is going to be worse than Texas Tech last year. And at least Joey McGuire is building something, and I think that's a transcending program, where I think Baylor is a descending program. I really don't think Aranda lasts there much longer with the roster I just read off to you guys. I just don't think it's that good. And you're right, Edge. 38-21, that's the guess I had. I don't think it's a very close game. So two kind of blowouts back-to-back for Wyoming and Baylor. It's going to be very interesting. But that was a good question, Will, about more livid. The only reason that game pissed me off is because we were up 14 going into the fourth quarter. If we had been tied going into the fourth quarter and losing, I wouldn't have gotten that angry because Texas Tech wasn't that bad last year, and I think they're going to be a top 4 team in the Big 12 this year. So, by the way, I want to beat them badly because Joey McGuire is saying some outrageous shit right now. It's insane what he's saying. I mean, he just said this has a possibility of being the next Alabama, which is an absolute ludicrous take. I don't know why he would say that. I respect the guy. I think he's a great offensive mind. I think he's going to get a lot of good offensive players to go there, and I think they're going to be pretty good in the Big 12. But to say that, it's just asinine. Tara Pete, good. Yeah, David Koresh. He loved it there. Set up camp there. Maybe Aranda needs to run Baylor like it's a cult. I mean, he could do that. It was kind of run like a cult when Art Briles was there. They probably want him back, don't they, without all the sexual stuff, obviously, but he was a good coach. And it's going to be interesting, like I said, going through this Texas schedule. I think there's a really good chance that Texas, like I said, goes 11-1 and runs through the schedule rather easily. But like I said, I think that's the high end. I'm predicting 10-2. I'm going to have to find a loss in here because as a Texas fan, I'm so wounded at looking at rosters thinking, oh, we're so much better than theirs, da-da-da-da. But this year will even make it worse, guys, because if we get like 9-3, 8-4 with this roster, what position group are we not better at than 95% of college football teams? We're better at what we probably have the second best wide receiver room. We probably have the third best quarterback room. We have a top 5 offensive line room, and I'm talking country now, not even the Big 12. I think cornerback room, we're very underrated. I think we have a top 10 to 15 room there with Brooks, Watts, Barron, all those guys, Holmes from Wake Forest. So there's really no excuse at this point. There's none. Good question. Is Texas Tech an actual threat to win the conference? That is a good question. It's all going to come down to defense for them, as it always has. They've always had good offenses. It's going to come down to defense. Right now, guys, if I had to predict the top 4 teams in the conference, I'd go Texas, no particular order, Texas Tech, Kansas State, and I'm going to say UCF. I think UCF is going to come in and do a very good job. I think Gus Malzahn is going to do a good job. I think they're going to be pretty good. I think Oklahoma is probably the 5th best team in this conference. That's what I believe. Kansas also has a chance. It's going to be interesting. Jalen Daniels is special. He was the quarterback on the preseason Big 12 team for a reason. That guy's very good. If he can stay healthy, I think Kansas has a shot to break that top 5. We'll see, though. Coaching is my question for Texas. Is Art Briles? I don't think Art Briles is an assistant or anything with Texas. I'm pretty confident in that. I know we took Paul Christ in. There were 2 other coaching assistants we brought in that are escaping my mind. But Paul Christ, there was another former head coach that we brought in as well. There were 3 guys total that we brought in that were former head coaches, and I was very excited about. Paul Christ was one of them. The other 2 names are escaping me right now, so I'm sorry for that. But no, Art Briles is not an assistant coach or a special assistant or anything like that with Texas. I'm not sure what he's doing. And I know he got hired somewhere and then got fired like immediately. I can look this up real quick because luckily there's this thing called Google, and I'm going to do that. Let's see. Art Briles. I don't believe he's coaching at all. If he was coaching a high school team and got fired. Wow. No, it looks like he is not coaching anywhere. Oh, no, he is. He is coaching Estra Gulfi. I don't know what that is. So that's going to be interesting. That's a team somewhere else in another country? Yeah, there you go. He answered that question. He is coaching in Italy. So that is a fall from grace for him. He's a spectacular offensive mind, but obviously with all the sexual assault allegations, you couldn't keep him. And then you see like someone like Pat Fitzgerald get fired from Northwestern. I think they should have investigated a little bit more, but I didn't read much into that. I'm not surprised he's gone. That's hilarious to me that he's coaching in Italy, though. I know his son has a head or offensive coordinator job, so props to him. Also, let me float this question with you guys because you guys do run this show. What topic would you like me to deep dive into Texas? Is there anything you want to know? I'll do the proper research on it. Come and do a show for you guys. Or do you just like the format we have going now where basically break down the new recruits and then break down game by game? It's up to you guys. I'm cool with doing it this way. If there's another way you guys would like it done, I'm 100% fine with that as well. But I think it's going to be an exciting year. I think Texas has a chance to make the college football playoff. I don't know if they will. If I had to put the chance on it right now, I'd probably say 30%. I don't think it's – and I should say lower than that. I take that back. Sometimes you just say stupid shit. I'm going to say 15%. Sorry about that. Because even if we win the Big 12, I do believe teams like Florida State and Clemson can be better. Obviously, in the Pac-12, I think the Pac-12 is going to be pretty good this year. I think USC could be better. I think Washington could be better. I think Oregon State could even be better. I think Oregon State's one to watch out for in the Pac-12. Obviously, the Big Ten, you got Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State. SEC, you got LSU, Alabama, Georgia. And that's really it from the SEC this year that I see that could possibly make the college football playoff. I don't think Florida's going to make it this year. I'm trying to think of any team that comes to my mind out of there, and that's about it. Ranking the position coaches would be fun. I could definitely do that. We could do that. And are you talking about the Big 12, Will? I'm 100% fine with that. If you want to rank, I'll rank. You know what? I'll do that. I will rank next week. I will rank the head coaches in the Big 12. We'll go through that. After that, we'll go position by position. You're going to be surprised. I don't think I'm going to have Steve Sarkisian that high. I think most coaches that I can think of are probably going to be ahead of him. Just right off the bat, the only ones I can say for 100% that will be underneath of him are Cincinnati because of the new hire, Brent Venables because he was god-awful last year at Oklahoma. Probably the coach, I don't even know if I want to do that. Houston, his head coach, I believe that's still Dana Holgorsen somehow. I could be wrong there. So that's 3 coaches right there. That's Neil Brown as well at West Virginia. So that'd be 4 right off the bat that I think. But he's not going to be that high, guys. He's just not. I know that's sad to say for us Texas fans, but there's better coaches out there. But while you guys are here, can you please hit that like button? Please subscribe down below. It really helps out the channel. We're trying to grow this. Please go over to Mark's channel. Go over to the other channels. Subscribe there. Like their videos as well. Please, like I said, please hit the notification bell as well. I'm going to be here every Tuesday leading up to the season, and then every Tuesday in the season breaking down that week's game. And then I will be there every Saturday, and I believe there's one Friday this year, one Thursday. I will be there as well after the game talking about the win or loss. Doesn't matter. I'll be here. So please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. Please help me grow this channel, guys. And go over to Mark as well. If you have any spare money and you love college football, go over to the Patreon. Sign up for that. And then also drop in Mark's link for Amazon. You're going to spend the money anyways. Help Mark get a few dollars. Thank you guys very much. But if you guys don't have anything else, I may cut this one short. I'm not sure I feel comfortable giving Texas a show like. Okay, fine. Give the like for Mark. Just give it for Mark. Just give it for Mark. If you like Mark, you respect Mark, please do it for him. You don't have to do it for me, the guy who hates the Big Ten, hates Ohio State, maybe hates your LSU Tigers, John, but you have to do it for him. That's all I'm asking. Please do that. And also share this out with your friends, your family, with anyone you possibly can. I want the views up there. I want more people in here. I love talking college football. I want to have more people to talk college football with. I want you guys to hate me as much as possible. I want you guys to throw that Big Ten content in here and tell me how stupid I am, how uneducated I am on the Big Ten or whatever other conference you want to talk about. I will say, out of all the conferences, I'm probably least educated on the Pac-12 if we're talking Power 5, because I don't watch that. I don't stay up late enough to watch that, especially because most of the time the games I do want to watch with the Pac-12 are on ABC earlier in the day. The late night Pac-12 games, the BS they feed you, I don't watch those. Neil Brown is definitely 100%. He is god-awful. He should be fired. Bean, I said Alabama 28-24, I believe they'll win. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a close game. I have the right to change that, but I'm running out of time, guys. I believe we only have 45 days until the first college football game. I have the right to change that until the first game kicks off. After that, I can't change that prediction. Bean, unfortunately, I do not live in Texas. I live in Ohio, and it is not hot here. It is humid, but it is not hot. I don't know. I know the temperature in Texas is insane right now. I don't know how the humidity is. Usually a dry heat, but the humidity in Ohio is not fun. You're getting 70% humidity and up sometimes. I don't think it was that bad today. I wasn't outside much today, but I live in Ohio, unfortunately. Yeah. And people always ask, how am I not an Ohio State fan, you know? And I just didn't grow up as an Ohio State fan. I don't know how I escaped that cult, but my friends, family, loved ones are all Ohio State fans, and I escaped it. I'm somehow didn't make it. By friend of Mark J. Surgis. I couldn't read it. Jay Surgis' new book. Go watch the Pac-12 live chat show tonight and learn about the Pac-12. I will do that, Will. I will do that. I enjoy talking college football with you guys, and I enjoy watching college football content, so I will definitely do that. Ed, are you asking exactly where I live in Ohio? If that is the case, I'm going to say it anyways. I live in Clayton, Ohio, a small suburb of Dayton, Ohio. That is where I live. So I live, what is that? Hour from Columbus? Not that far. I've never been to an Ohio State game, and I do want to go when they play Texas in 2 years, I believe. I also want to go to the Michigan game when they play them in Ann Arbor next year. Probably won't be able to get tickets for either one of those games, but I'm going to try. The one I know I'll be able to get tickets for is next year in Nashville versus Vanderbilt. I'm getting tickets for that game. I'm going to that game. And I'm also going to Texas versus Oklahoma in the next 2 years. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I'm praying the SEC moves that to a night game, and I'll go to that one. I know exactly where that is, Anna. Are you a Dayton Flyers basketball fan? No, Will, I am not. I believe you're a VCU fan, and I know that's why you said that. I am not a Dayton Flyers fan. Don't hate them, though. Do watch them, root for them. I am a Texas basketball fan. Will you watch Notre Dame Navy in Dublin on August 26th? 100%. We'll watch that game. I will watch as much college football as I possibly can. This is, Ed, that's about what, 20 minutes from Columbus, if I'm not wrong? I've driven through before. I may be wrong on the time, but I know where it is. Now, guys, I will be here again next Tuesday at 7:30. We'll do the recruiting again. I'll break down 2 more games, and I will do a head coaching Big 12 list. So 5 minutes, even closer, Ed. So please hit that like button. Please subscribe. It really helps out the channel. It's been awesome hanging out with you guys again. I'm going to cut this one a little bit short. Actually, I went to, why are you not a Bowling Green? Because Bowling Green sucks. First off, I went to the University of Findlay in Northern Ohio. No, I'm not going to root for Bowling Green. Never have, never will. Not going to happen. But again, will you guys please hit that like button? Please subscribe down below. I'm going to cut this one a little bit short, but you guys have been great. Thank you for hanging out with me again. I will be here next Tuesday. Hook 'em.